This is the Shift Podcast.
Today on the Shift Daily Podcast, Joe McIntosh, our automotive expert, gives us some insight on how they're going wrong with electric, how they're going wrong with trucks. Did you know there's only two types of gas and it gets mixed right at the pump? We didn't either. That's in there too. Plus, some of the cool cars that Joe's been driving lately, including a Honda pickup. Blink Hilo takes a look at video games, big changes to Twitter, and what you need to know about Amazon Sidewalk and your privacy. And are you okay with the Stanley Cup going back to Montreal? Not because they won it, only because Tampa Bay broke it. It's all in the Shift Daily Podcast. To Are You Okay? Are you okay with Happy Meals?
You sounded very sad for someone asking about Happy Meals.
That's what I mean.
Oh, a joke. I enjoyed Happy Meals at one time. I had a Transformer Happy Meal toy that stayed with me for a good 6 years. Loved that thing. Yeah.
Well,
it was a great toy.
Was that? Does anybody actually keep the toy longer than 2 minutes?
Well,
nowadays
cell is the toy, though, right? I guess the whole cell of the whole meal is just the toy.
I just don't think people keep the actual toy. Like, you get the toy's there, they play with it on the way home, and then you find it under the car seat 3 months later. And it's usually a fight,
you are the
too.
dad here.
Well, it's a fight, and it's like, I gotta have the toy, get the toy, you don't love me. And then it's like, you keep the toy, and you're like, you gotta eat your burger. Once you're done your burger, then you can have your toy now. And then you give the toy, and it's the big fight is over, and then it's garbage.
And to be honest, the toy was always a cheapened version of a real toy. It was not. It was never the actual toy. Because I used to collect little NASCAR die casts when I was a little 8-year-old, and then they had one in a Happy Meal, and it was like this plastic thing that fell apart.
You know, the parents that have it mastered, by the way, are the ones that, like, they're in Costco or something like that, or Walmart, and the kids freak out, and they're walking around the store, and the parents purposefully stall and slow down, and then you'll find like this pink little stuffed bear sitting on top of the canned tomatoes, and you know exactly what happened. That parent walked along, and when the kid wasn't paying attention, took the toy, put it down, walked away, and the kid never brought it up again. Expert parenting right there.
Damn.
It's beautiful. Well, Ryan says the best part of McDonald's Happy Meals is the toy. McDonald's toys are surging in popularity, though. How about that? With rare Pokemon cards given out in the meals, reselling for hundreds of dollars, now there are Space Jam toys. One kid in Maine got a toy they were not asking for, though. Police have charged 2 Maine people with drug crimes after a mother complained that she found a medication used to treat opioid use disorder in her son's Happy Meal at McDonald's. Here's more from NBC News.
Police say this happened at the McDonald's on Center Street in Auburn. Shirley Marchessault said she looked in her son's Happy Meal and saw 4 white packets. Those packets contain Suboxone. It's an opioid that is frequently used to help people who are struggling with substance abuse start to wean off some of the stronger drugs like heroin. Investigators scoured through hours of surveillance video and determined this whole thing was an accident. They say the strips were in an employee's shirt pocket. When he bent over to get something from behind the counter, the prescription strips and a pen fell into the Happy Meal box. Shirley says she's happy she found those strips first.
I was really upset and I was really mad. Like I said, I don't know why drugs would end up in a kid's Happy Meal. If that was a younger kid, that could have been dangerous.
Now here's why they're facing charges. Auburn police say a different employee illegally gave those Suboxone strips to the one who accidentally dropped them into the Happy Meal.
Yikes. Wow. I think that'd be more like a droopy meal.
That's not good if the kid gets it, man. 2 people expect to be in court in November. It was unclear on Wednesday if 2 people had retained attorneys yet. I would suggest it might be a good step. Just saying. Okay. This is a sensitive topic. Yeah. Very sensitive. So we've got to be gentle and aware of everybody's feelings as we bring it up.
Thank you.
Are you okay? Are you okay with the Stanley Cup?
I don't think
It
I should
is
go first.
it is the best trophy in sports, okay? Regardless of who owns it at the time, it is the best looking trophy in sports. It's the coolest one to watch people celebrate with, aside from if those people celebrating are the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
I love the Stanley Cup. And I got to touch it at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I was like, nice. It's pretty sweet.
Ryan O'Donnell is a Habs fan, so this is a very sensitive topic still. It's still pretty new. Brendan Kelly, sorry, you had something wanted to say there?
Well, I was going to say, it's the nicest of the major sporting trophies. I mean, it's the one, like, think of the other sports. You can't really think of what they win. Like, the Stanley Cup is so iconic, and it's just so big. It's the nicest of the professional sports trophies that you get at the end of the year. Like, what do they even win in baseball?
Well, it's a little bit battered and bruised, right? It's handsome. It's a handsome trophy. That's what it is. Well, some good news if you are a big fan of the Stanley Cup. It's coming home broken and very bruised by a bunch of people in Florida.
That's not a surprise.
A bunch of people, that's the line.
Yes, that's the line.
Not the Stanley Cup winners in Florida, just a bunch of people. Ryan wrote this, jaded Habs fan. The Cup is returning to Montreal because that's where it needs to go to get fixed. The bowl of the 128-year-old cup was dented to the point it looked like a flat Stanley Cup. It looks kind of like an oval now with a big old dent in it. Global's Dan Spector has the report.
Hockey reporter Joe Smith shared this photo of the greatest trophy in sport with a huge dent.
Disrespectful, I would think.
The Hockey Hall of Fame confirmed to Global News that was indeed the real cup that is presented to the winning teams on the ice, and that it's now on its way to Montreal to be fixed. This pair is offering up its services.
Probably a beanbag, sandbag with rubber mallets.
It's far from the first time the cup has been damaged. Some say the winners can do what they please.
And I think anything can be fixed, and the lads had fun with it.
But some pundits disagree.
It should be like dropping a casket or something, like people should be down on their knees praying for forgiveness from the hockey gods that we damaged the cup.
Though the precise work on this out-of-shape cake pan is a worthy audition, the cup might be more likely to find its way to this building in Old Montreal, home to Boffy Promotions, the silversmith shop where Louise Saint-Jacques works.
Louise started in 1988 in Graben, and her family has been doing it for 4 generations now.
She is the only person in the world who engraves the winners' names on the cup each fall. Boffy did not answer our calls or door knocks on Tuesday. If the NHL is looking for fresh talent, though,
I think we can add some silver to it and rebuild it better than it was.
Global News asked the NHL who would actually be repairing the cup and where, but all they would confirm was that it had been transported to Montreal and that the Stanley Cup celebration tour would not miss a beat.
Okay. Now, I'm going to make Ryan read these last 2 lines because they sound very judgy, and I think it sounds better coming from a jaded Habs fan.
Sure. Gladly. You know what's really funny is that these lines are direct from an article. I didn't write this. This is from a Global article.
Fake news.
Forwards. Okay, I'm going to say it a little smug. Like, I'm going to add a little theatrics to this, okay? Forwards Alex Killorn and Nikita Kucherov took to the water, circling boats and cruising along the riverbank on a jet ski.
Slackers.
Playoff MVP Andrei Vasilevsky put the Conn Smythe trophy on his head like a hat, much to the delight of drenched spectators soaked by the rain and champagne sprayed by players, as that beautiful trophy was obliterated by the true essence of Florida.
Oh, Florida. What a special place you are. The irony that when the Stanley Cup is won by Tampa Bay, goes to Florida, falls down, gets a dent, no longer is round, is now oval on the top. And the only place they can send it to get it fixed is back to Montreal.
That hurts, man. It hurts my soul.
That stings. That absolutely stings. Oh, we got time for one more. Are you okay? Of course course. Are you okay with ice cream?
Soft ice cream. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love soft ice
Dairy
cream.
Queen soft? Is that what you're talking about?
Soft serve.
Oh,
like
yeah,
soft
soft serve.
Oh,
Soft
yeah, that's the
serve.
best.
Yeah, 100%. I got to give a shout out to the buffet at Casino Niagara because they have a soft serve machine that you serve yourself. So sometimes we would just go, not even for anything else at the buffet, just for the soft serve machine and just continually.
Could you mix the
yeah,
swirl? Like
and
the
you
half
could
chocolate,
mix
half
too.
vanilla?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
it was
so good.
amazing.
Deadly.
I love it.
it.
All right. Have you ever had the desire to make your bowl of Kraft dinner better? Well, maybe put your hot dogs or beans or pico de gallo on top. But what if you could make it, or ketchup? You forgot ketchup, dude. That's how you make Kraft dinner better. You put ketchup on top.
Sorry, there's the bias. I don't like ketchup on Kraft dinner.
Dude, you're not allowed
the
to.
Unintentional bias going through.
Oh, put ketchup on top. A little bit of pepper. But what if you could make it even better, your Kraft dinner, with ice cream? New York City-based treat maker Van Leeuwen.
Yeah,
That's
I have
a
no
typo.
idea. I think
Unveiled
that's
its
actually
Kraft
it.
macaroni and cheese ice cream this week. Yes, it's real Kraft macaroni and cheese ice cream. More from KVUE News, complete with some awkward news anchor banter because, hey, TV people.
Today is National Mac and Cheese Day, and there's a new sweet treat.
World?
This new sweet treat's going to help you celebrate. Kraft is making mac and cheese flavored ice cream. Sounds disgusting.
Oh, it does.
But I don't know. To each their own. The brand posted this on Instagram yesterday and said that it is 100% real. No word yet on when the dessert will be available.
You're 3.5 months late for April Fool's Day, people.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre?
That is disgusting.
I mean, maybe the savory and, you know, sweet
I like the optimism.
combination.
I like that.
You know, who knows?
I don't know.
If you can think it, it's out there.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Thanks, Bob. Nothing makes us happier than this Kraft macaroni and cheese ice cream. If this reminds you of the ice cream you grew up with, you might be out of your mind. If this reminds you of the comforting bowl of Kraft macaroni and cheese you grew up with, you're getting warmer because we did make this ice cream with that buttery, sweet, iconic cheese. You bet. That's how they advertised it.
No.
So it can't be 100% real then, because we can all agree, and I love Kraft dinner, that ain't real cheese.
That's true.
I want to try it.
Can't be.
I know it'll be terrible, but I'm so curious.
Is it orange? Like the ice cream must be orange.
Look at it. Yeah, it's Kraft dinner yellow.
Oh,
that's
right.
how I describe it. A very unique color.
This is the Shift Podcast.
We've been talking about electric cars quite a bit here on the Shift lately, and what a better person to dig into some of this conversation is with Jill McIntosh. She is a auto journalist and has been for a very long time. Very good. One of my favorite humans that we get to talk to here on the Shift. Hey, Jill.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. I know that over the last 15 months, your car blogging has seen its own challenges because of, you can't travel to car shows and whatnot. But a lot of automobile writing has been going on over the last bunch of weeks. Does it feel good to be driving in new cars all the time?
Well, it's a job, but it's a lot of fun, and it's quite interesting because I get to see what everything is and what they're like on the road, as opposed to just seeing the ads or hearing somebody talk about it. It's kind of cool that if someone says, "Well, what's this car like?" Well, I've driven it, so I can tell you.
I like that. We have done a bunch of work here on electric cars of late, and we got into the politics, the battery, and the fuel credits. That's not why I'm asking you, but in the thread of that topic, though, electric cars, we also said, are so much fun. It is mind-blowing. I had a Prius. I loved my Prius, but I don't know if I would buy a second one. It served its purpose, and I don't know if I would go back to it. I had a little Prius C. So you've done some work in around these electric cars, but it's one thing to go buy one because you're curious. It's another one to buy a second electric car. What are you seeing out there?
Well, it's tough to say because they are relatively new, and we're sort of going back to the days where people went from a horse to a car, and they never went back to the horse. Now, at the moment, most people who are in an electric car are probably on their very first one. And the people I've talked to, would they buy another one? I don't know yet. And we've seen surveys that say that, a certain number of them are going back to gasoline. Generally, what I find people say when they have an electric car, they love it so much. They love the way it drives. They love the silent, and I do too when I get to drive them. I love them. And they just have no desire to go back to gasoline. But there are some issues, the major one being, where do you plug it in? And for a lot of people, especially, people who live in condos or apartments or places that have street parking, that's a major issue for them.
Well, yeah, and you got to go back to your condo board and say, by the way, so then all of a sudden your condo fees and reserve fund goes up because the board votes to put in all of this electrical service in your building. I mean, as one example, holy costs that would go up for condo owners. And that would really suck if you didn't own an electric car. We had a listener of The Shift who called in and who had said, had one of those Ford hybrids and loved it, got another one, never had problems with batteries. And, he was sort of all in on the notion. It was really cool to hear his story as he had shared his experience with that. I rented one by accident when I was in Washington, D.C., and the fuel economy was mind-blowing in that little Ford. So, there certainly are some benefits there, and the torque is a lot of fun. Now, you also had an article. If we're going to talk about electric, let's talk about gasoline. This was cool. Fun facts about fuel that we may not have known. And it's funny because we're at a place where we've had gasoline vehicles for so incredibly long. Most of us don't even know how it works. When you wrote that piece, what was your biggest takeaway? Because I have one, and I'm excited to ask you about it.
About fuel. Well,
the fun facts. Yeah.
The fun facts is it's one of those things where if you don't actually get out and learn about it, we just take it for granted that whatever we're pumping into the car, well, it's just how much is it going to cost me? That's the main thing that we're looking about. But some of the things, the fun facts I found was, one of them that I find fascinating is that your pump will have 3 grades, but the gas station only stocks 2. Yes. And one tank under the ground is full of the regular grade. The other one's full of the highest one. And if you pick the middle one, which is usually 89, the pump mixes them. So I think that's really cool. Or
I had no idea.
Yeah, or you're filling up your tank, and once it's full, the pump shuts off. And wow, it's like magic. Well, what it is there's a if you actually look in it, and don't put your face up right to it because that's not a good idea. But if you look in the nozzle, you'll see this little tiny pipe in it, and when your tank is filling up, the air that's displaced out of the tank goes up this tube, and once it fills up and there's no more air coming out, that's what triggers the switch to shut it off. So all of this is really cool. Or when you look at fuel, it's always like $1.30.9. It's always 0.9 cents.
Right.
And you look at that. Well, 0.9 cents. Why is that? Well, it's because when fuel taxes first came in the 1930s, gas was a dime, 10 cents a gallon, and nobody wanted to. When they put the tax on, nobody wanted to put it up to 11 cents. Unless you were Spinal Tap, of course. But nobody wanted to go up another penny, so they went up 0.9. And if you look at something, and it's the same as anything, if a product in the store is $9.99, you think it's $9, you don't think it's 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the fuel is $1.30.9, it's $1.30. It's not $1.31. And they don't have to put that 0.9 in. It's just that nobody wants to be the one to take it off. So
yeah.
We're stuck with it.
It's like free money, and they're fooling our brains all at the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just little things that I'm very curious about stuff, and whenever I see something, I got to know why. Like when you go to a gas station and you fill up your tires with air. Well, it used to be free. Now it's $1 or it's $2. I don't know how much it is out by you, but where I am, I've seen $2. And everyone says, well, why are they charging for it? And besides the fact that, well, just because they can, it's because when it was free, the gas station had a repair shop, and the compressor that ran the tools also ran the air pump. Well, now no gas station has a repair shop. They've all got convenience stores in them, and the compressor is only there to run the air pump, and so you're paying for the cost of installing it and maintaining it and fixing it. That's why you have to pay for air.
That's cool stuff. I remember the very first time I saw one, I pulled in for a little tire fill up and saw that you had to put money in. I was like, what the? No way. And I went driving around the city trying to find one that was free because I wasn't going to do it. There's no way I'm paying for air. But as a business owner, you kind of look at it. Yeah, well, good idea.
Yeah, but you pay for water now, too. You go in the convenience store, they'll charge you for water.
Oh, that's so amazing. Jill McIntosh writes for all kinds of different organizations. You can see her on driving.ca and all that stuff too. What are a couple of cars, Jill? Can you give us some insight on a couple of cars that you've been around lately that have really impressed you?
You know, I just got out of a Honda Ridgeline. And
I love the Ridgeline.
I love the Ridgeline. We did a video on it, which has yet to pop up on my site. But I'll tell you, I own a pickup truck. I own 2 pickup trucks, actually, and the newest one is a 1995. And when I bought it, it was the largest half-ton truck you could buy. And now it when you put it up against the new ones, it looks like a mid-size. The trucks are just too big. They're stupid big. They're needlessly oversized. And I got in the Ridgeline, and everybody said, well, that's not a real truck because it's based on an SUV and it's all-wheel drive instead of, it's a unibody and everything. But I'm looking at it, and it's the same. The Ridgeline is the same as an electric car. If it's the right vehicle for you, then it's going to be the best vehicle on the planet for you. I very seldom, I don't tow anything. I very seldom haul stuff. Same with an electric car. If you're not going to drive it across Canada, if you're just going to take it to work, to the grocery store, it's the right vehicle for you. And we got to stop thinking about the vehicle that's going to be to do everything for everybody. And we got to start looking at the vehicles that do what we need them to do for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Ridgeline has been, I wouldn't hesitate to go shopping for an old one. I mean, holy cow, what a vehicle. My buddy Jeff has one. His has got hail damage. He's got a little bit of rust coming through now. The reality is, though, if you ever, the old school Honda, it's a tank and the body will rot before the engine dies, sort of old 80s mentality. That one has stuck with the Ridgeline. You can drive it to death, and it might not be pretty anymore, but it'll still work.
Oh, yeah. And the new one, actually, the 2021, they redesigned it again, gave it a new front end. Let's be honest, the old ones are kind of homely. But
they're ugly, though.
They're ugly. They're ugly. Somebody hit it with an ugly stick and then just kept beating on it. But this new one, it's a looker. It is a really good-looking truck, in addition to the fact that it's great to drive, and you got that tailgate that opens like a door, and it's not too big, and I'd buy one. Absolutely, I'd buy one.
You put some fancy wheels on those, and you have a real competitor for the Ranger and the Canyon and all those ones. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. You can't beat it, and it's not for everyone. But for what I do with a truck, this thing is absolutely perfect.
They have a little stowaway on the bottom of the bed. At least they used to, too. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, they still do. Yeah, they still do, and it's got a drain plug. You can fill it full of ice, and there's even a stereo in the bed, and it's not speakers. It's actually an exciter, and what it does is it vibrates, and the entire bed turns into this into the speaker cone. And so if you go into a party, you got your music, you got your cooler. What more do you, and if you have a little bit too much to drink and you don't drive home, because of course you shouldn't, you can open up your sleeping bag and put it in the bed, and away you go.
Amazing. So you also have, let's take a full circle back to electrics, because you also have had a new electric in your garage for a few days. What was that?
I had the Kia Niro EV, which the Niro also comes as a hybrid and as a plug-in hybrid, but I had it as the pure electric. And again, it's a great little car to drive. It's a little hatchback, little station station wagon, nice and roomy, and it had okay, right now it's summertime, so you get a longer range, but I had a 425 kilometer range on it. It has a little, it shows you how far you can go on that and where your charging stations are and everything. I charged it up halfway through the week, and I didn't even have to do that. And it's for driving around town or even a longer trip. If you can charge it up somewhere along the way, you can take it a considerable distance.
How do you like the styling of it? It sort of pinches a little bit. Kia is the best at stealing the nuances from everybody and putting it into one car. And they kind of steal a little bit of Tesla, but you also see a little bit of sort of Porsche shape to it and sort of some super trendy look to the car. Did you like how it looked?
Well, this one, I think you're thinking of the EV6 that's coming out. That's the
Could be.
That's the real stylish Tesla-looking one. This one looks more. It's sort of Hyundai Venue, little looks like a Bolt.
Kind of a Ford Escape looking flavor.
Yeah, but smaller. Yeah, the same idea.
Smaller.
I mean, it's a handsome little thing. It's not going to turn heads, but it's good looking enough.
It's good looking enough.
Good looking enough.
That is how many of us have gone by for a long time.
I look in the mirror and I say exactly that. I'm good looking enough.
Jill McIntosh, you can find her on driving.ca, many others. Although if you are a lady car person, you will really appreciate womanonwheels.ca, where Jill and her community celebrate women who love cars. Because I might quote this wrong, Jill, but one of the questions that people will ask is when you pull up in your old Studebaker and stuff like that, oh, nice car, is that yours? And you're like, no, I stole it, dumbass.
Yes, someone did that last week. I pulled into a parking spot and got out, and the woman asked me, what is it? It's a Studebaker. What year is it? 1949. I explained the engine and everything, and then she, is it yours? No, I stole it, but I'm going to stop at the grocery store on the way, making my getaway. I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, I guess. Although the community is there, womanonwheels.ca. Jill, thanks so much for touching base. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for asking me, and till next time.
It's the Shift Podcast.
Is a technological world with Blaine Kylo, solocore.com, SOLOCORPS.com. Two questions for you, Blaine Kylo, before we get started in the tech stuff. Number one, have you ever quit a job in like dramatic style, dropped your microphone and walked out?
No, I don't have those nerves. I simmer.
I'm like you. Yeah, you're a slow cooker, eh?
Yeah, things, you sit there and it's like, wow, something's not right. And then 6 months later, it's like, yeah, something's really not right.
7 years later, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling it.
I wonder maybe I should be making a move here.
That's kind of how I work too. Although, when you do give your notice, you really don't get any work done anyway. Because you've already given your notice.
The most dramatic I got was I was leaving Calgary to go to school in the States, and I had been working at Safeway for quite a long time. And the day my last shift of Safeway, I took off the black shoes that we always had to wear, and they went into the garbage, and I cut the tie that I had been wearing all those years working for Safeway, and I actually haven't really worn a tie since.
I love it. Okay, Blaine Kylo is the coach of the year. How's our team doing?
Good. Getting ready for provincials in a week.
Nice. Already,
So
hey?
yeah, it's all tuning up. Well, normally this is all done before we get to July, but because of the pandemic, things got pushed a little bit. The fact that we're actually taking teams into provincials is amazing. It just really says a lot with where BC is at, that there's no concern right now. There's high vaccination rates, and of course, baseball and fast pitch, these are outdoor activities. So lots of space between the players and the other teams, and lots of space between the spectators.
I love it. Blaine Kylo, we are here to get into the geek that we love so much in the world of tech here in solocore.com. Let's get started with some games news. That's Canada local, Vancouver very local.
Yeah, some really fun news, actually. Timber Games is a new studio that's opened in Vancouver by 3 veterans of the industry. So Joe Nichols, Jeff Coates, and Zoe Curnow, who all have wonderful experience with some of the big AAA studios around town, are the co-founders of Timber Games. And they've connected with Oregon-based Pipeworks Studios, which is a group that, one of the things that people who don't really know the game industry don't realize is how many people go into making these games. And even studios who lead development on games often get help from smaller studios, or for studios like Pipeworks. The whole point of Pipeworks is to support the development of other studios' games. So they'll take on things that studios don't have time for, or that they need help with, or that they need special expertise for. And so Timber Games is actually a division of Pipeworks that's going to do original game development, which is really kind of cool. Now, a funny story about Joe Nichols. This guy's been around for a while through EA. Most recently, he was leading Maxis, which is the EA studio responsible for the Sims franchise. But when I first met Joe, when I first started covering games years ago, it was when EA Sports had come out with this Wayne Gretzky hockey for the Nintendo Wii. And they had these little fake hockey sticks that you would put the Wii motion controllers into. And so you would simulate actually shooting a puck with the little mini hockey stick that had the controller in it. And that's when I met Joe, was playing Joe in Nintendo Wii Wayne Gretzky hockey down at E3 way back whenever that game was released. Interesting fact about Joe, I think the guy's 9 feet tall. I think he's part giant.
Part giant. I remember that. I love that about the Wii. I believe my dad had his knee surgery replacement around that time, and we got him the Wii with the hockey so he could have the sticks and still play sports while he was doing his rehab.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was a great use of the Wii controllers. I thought it was really good. Anyway, so Timber Games, new thing in Vancouver. They're hiring right now, and it just kind of goes to show that one of the things that's really unique about the Vancouver game development scene is people kind of go away and they come back, but people with experience, they tend to start new studios all the time, and then those studios will get acquired by bigger companies, and then those people will spin off and start new studios. And so this is just another example of some really smart, really talented people seeing an opportunity to do something that they're really passionate about in a new and interesting way. They haven't announced anything in terms of what they're working on, but given the people involved, I think it's going to be fun and interesting.
Very cool news off the West Coast. Okay, let's get this clip first. You want, Blainer? Yeah?
Yes, absolutely, the clip.
All right, let's get that.
The other visionaries and I officially request killing cults becomes your top priority. Or, in other words, murder the bastard now.
Every single person here is out to kill me.
It's fun. I've been cutting short your meaningless rampages for some time. It's totally normal. Death is a typical physiological experience in this place.
Wow, typical, huh?
Yeah, this is so amazing. Deathloop is exclusive to the PS5 in terms of consoles. It will also be available for Windows, coming from Bethesda's Arcane Studios, which has most recently given us the Dishonored series of action-adventure games, and Prey, which is similar but set in this sort of alien-esque type world. The Deathloop is something completely different. It's just full of attitude and character. It's one of these new genre of roguelike adventure games. We've talked recently about Hades and Returnal, where part of the game is all about dying over and over and over again. And when you go through these loops, you're learning the game, you're learning the world, you're learning the systems, And the idea is that you'll get good enough and you'll understand things well enough and you'll accumulate enough tricks that you can beat the game. Deathloop is exactly like this, except it's got the same kind of powers that Arcane brought to Dishonored and Prey exist here. So you've got a little teleport trick that you can use, and you've got this ability to sort of pick up and ragdoll enemies anytime you want. But the real thing that makes Deathloop different from some of the other games that are similar, where you're dying and repeating all the time, is that you've got a particular antagonist that's going up against you. Her name is Juliana. And while you're playing the game as Colt, you'll hear a sound in the game, and the sound is to let you know that Juliana has entered the game space and is now coming after you. Now, Juliana will sometimes be controlled by the game's AI, but sometimes Juliana is just being controlled by another player out there who has decided that they're going to interface with someone else's game as Juliana, and they're coming after you.
So that sounds really kind of cool, because then you never really know what you're getting. I'm assuming now the way this plays out with everybody playing gets a different Juliana, right? Like, I mean, it would be sort of your orbit only.
This we don't really know yet. We kind of know what they're setting up. We don't know all the details about how this is going to play out. But the game releases on September 14th, and it's one that I'm looking forward to.
You know, it'd be really cool, Blaine, is if you said that you wanted to be Juliana, say, like if it was an option on your screen, and you clicked it if you wanted to do it, and then you go through your death loop, whatever. Then all of a sudden, I kind of like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, gold ticket goes off, and it's like you get to be Juliana now, and then you just sort of reborn as that character, and it was so incredibly random. I mean, it would make people stay on the game, sort of spinning the proverbial bingo wheel, hoping that they got the chance to do it. That would be cool.
To do it. Well, and this is the thing that can make it really interesting, because you can learn how a game AI system will play, but you can never learn how anybody out there in the world can play. And so it's a wild card that can really spin the game around.
Back in the old days, you used to play a game and you would know that when the little dragon man jumped 2 times, he was going to step to the left next, and that was your opportunity to get him, right? You had to ride it out, wait for the pattern, and then you could get it. But I guess that would, AI today obviously being very different, but that would really take that out of the equation.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are systems that you do want to learn and you can memorize in exactly that way. But when you've got another person on the other end, it's kind of impossible to memorize what they're going to do.
I like that. Okay, let's go into the socials here. What do you got with Twitter?
Twitter's done a couple of things, actually, and one that just was announced today that I didn't even have time to prep for. But the one that I planned on talking about is last summer, Twitter enabled users to restrict who can comment on their posts, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a conversation setting. So you can restrict so that only people you follow can reply to the thing that you've posted, even though everybody in the world might be able to see it. The only people who can reply to it are people you follow or people you've mentioned in your post. But what's changed now is even after you've published that post, you can set that conversation setting. So this is designed for people who might have a tweet of theirs that's gone viral and is getting some like unprecedented and unwanted attention, and they need to control what's going on with that. So you can now retroactively, I think that's a misspeak. You can't retroactively change the conversation settings, because if people have already commented on it, you can't do anything about that. But if you're finding that a message that you've posted on Twitter is getting attention and comments that you're not comfortable with, you can at any time change the conversation setting for that particular post so you can restrict who can reply.
Yeah, from here on forward, right? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that was announced today is Fleets, which was Twitter's sort of short video things that you could do. Well, they're now gone. Twitter announced today that is a feature that they're getting rid of. presumably because not enough people are using it.
I know why it happened. Do you want to know why it happened?
Tell me.
Andy Barrar started skipping with no shirt on his fleets.
Well, there you go. Everybody can blame Andy for shirtless skipping for the disappearance of Twitter fleets. I thought it was interesting that the tone of Twitter's announcement when they announced this was, we're getting rid of fleets. We're sorry, and you're welcome.
Wow. Well, I never caught on like the reels and all the other ones that are out there. It's not really the platform, I think, where anybody wants to see that. Remind me to tell you about the time where Andy showed up here with no shirt on for his piece on the Zoom, by the way. He does that these days. Where are we going with Amazon? They've got some new stuff.
Well, it's not new in Canada, and I kind of want to bring it up just because we don't really know what's happening with it. In the United States in June, they launched this new free service called Sidewalk. And what it does is it automatically has all of your various Amazon devices connect to all the other Amazon devices, whether you own them or not. So essentially, it's creating this vast mesh network of sorts from all the internet connections that these devices have. So whether you've got an Echo smart speaker or a smart display or a Ring surveillance devices, yours, your neighbors' neighbors', they're all connecting to each other with this Sidewalk service. And Amazon bills this as a convenience. So, if you're walking through the neighborhood, you can piggyback on any of these things and have your Amazon devices stay connected. If you've got a Ring device that's right at the edge of your Wi-Fi connection, that it can actually use your neighbor's Wi-Fi connection briefly so that it can stay connected. And so, great. Convenience is amazing. But the problem with how they rolled it out in the US is, even though it's an optional feature, it's an automatic opt-in. And we've talked about this before. The first principle of technology is ask for permission. Don't assume that you have permission unless people say otherwise. And Amazon has violated that here. So unless you knew that Amazon Sidewalk was going to start sharing your internet connection around with everybody else, you didn't know what to do about that. And you didn't know how to stop it. I contacted Amazon in May because I wanted to know if they were launching this in Canada, because while there was talk about the US, nothing was happening in Canada. The company told me that they have nothing to say. I'm assuming that means that they're not rolling out in Canada right now, but we don't know what they have planned. But be prepared. If Amazon Sidewalk comes to Canada, you can control this through your device settings, no matter what Amazon device you have.
Blaine Kylo, solocore.com. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here as always.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you in a week.
Thanks for listening to the Shift Podcast.
Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the show and share with anyone you like. Get it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and CuriousCast.ca.